Hello, Owl fans, and welcome to another edition of the FAU Baseball Insider, your inside source for all things Owls baseball. I'm your host, Jared Smith. My guest, as always, head coach of the FAU baseball program, John McCormack. And, Coach, we're on the field today. We're behind us. The team's getting ready. Big game against Miami, the only time the Owls will face the nationally ranked Miami Hurricanes here in Boca Raton. Talk about the matchup against the Hurricanes this week.
Well, they're a good team, you know, and we just got done playing a good team. We got another good team on the weekend. It's just it's another game that we have to play and against a good competition, and we got to be ready.
Let's talk about the weekend. The Owls lost their first conference series of the season, 2 out of 3 to Middle Tennessee State. It was a tough weekend. After winning on Friday night, Ryan Garton pitched beautifully in that game. Then Saturday and Sunday, the pitching pitched all right, but it was the offense that you thought needed to be better over the weekend.
Yeah, on Sunday, I thought we pitched well against them except for 2 innings. They put up a 4 spot and a 6 spot, I think, in the 6th and 8th. And we only scored 6 runs. But then on Sunday, I thought our guys, 2 freshmen pitched absolutely fantastic, and we could only scratch together 3 runs. You know, at home, and I told the team this, at home, we got to win that game. A 4-3 game, we got to win that game. We got to figure out a way to score 5 and win that 5-4. You know, it was disappointing, but you got to move on. You know, like you said, we got Miami here. It's a nationally ranked opponent, and it's nice to play them at home. And we got to be ready and be ready to go.
Now, let's talk about the Hurricanes coming in. It's always a good crowd on hand usually for that game. Talk about how you think the crowd might, play in FAU's favor for the game tonight.
Well, of course, when, they draw well wherever, and we have our loyal fans that they do a great job cheering our guys on, and it's nothing that we haven't been through. We've played in front of big crowds before, whether it be home or on the road, but especially at home, it can give you that extra boost, and you jog in, you see the group, cheering for you. It gives you an extra sense of I'm ready to get this done. So, the more fans, the better they are, the better the atmosphere is, and the guys like it.
One of the bright spots from the weekend was Ryan Garton. He pitched absolutely brilliantly on Friday night. 8 innings, he struck out 10. Talk about his emergence into that Friday night starters role and what you expect from him the rest of the year.
Well, you know how I feel about Ryan. I certainly, between his stuff and his heart and his competitive desire, when he's on the mound, I feel good. I feel good about it. And, I hope last weekend gave him the confidence that, hey, I belong in this spot and I'm going to run with it for the rest of the year. I certainly, hope that's the case. I haven't talked to him about it, but, I got the sense of that. On Sunday, he came up to me and he goes, I could throw you an inning or two, Like I said, he just wants to be out there and help out.
Offensively, this team kind of struggled situationally speaking over the weekend. How do you kind of address that? Is that just, maybe a couple of guys having bad days, or is there something that you can kind of fix to move forward from that?
Well, I don't think you try to fix it. And I think if you harp on it, it makes it worse. We do some drills in the beginning of BP, in the beginning of our BP anyways, to kind of address that. And these guys know. I mean, they're baseball players. They're very intelligent guys. They understand what has to be done. What we need, though, is just the guys to get more consistent. We can't have someone go, 4 for 4 and then 0 for 12. We just need the guys to be consistent, and if you're consistent, I'm consistent, the guys behind me consistent, then it doesn't have to fall on the same guys. And again, we talked about that too, and they got a good feel for it, and I think we're fine.
All right, Coach, let's move on to our favorite topic. This is probably one of the last times we're going to get to talk about this. A champion has been crowned. The Duke Blue Devils, just an unbelievable game last night, a nip-and-tuck game. Not one team had a lead larger than 6 in the entire game.
Yeah.
And it was, of course, Butler who had the last shot to win it, a half-court heave just off the rim, and it was just an unbelievable run for the Bulldogs. They won 25 straight games and made it to the national championship game, but Duke prevails.
I'll tell you what, Duke, there's a lot of people out there saying they don't deserve it, which is crazy because they got such an easy draw, and then all the number 1s were knocked off, and then they had their biggest opponent, West Virginia. The one guy doesn't play, and the other guy goes down with an ACL tear. But they
still got to win games, though, right?
They played great, man. They played great. I don't buy in all that stuff about that. I think they played great. They deserve it. The passion in which they exhibited all game, and the big shots they made and the way they picked each other up. And I opened up, got to the office, opened my computer today, and it's on MSN, and it popped up to one of those shots, and it showed one of their guys, and just an unbelievable, passionate moment, and I applaud them. They did a great job. I applaud Butler. They That was an unbelievable run, and you know, a lot of people thought it was going to come down in the first quarter. You know, I heard Duke's going to win by 20, and you know, Butler didn't buy into it, and it'll be interesting to see where Butler goes from here. You know, next year. I know that was an older team, but it was a really good tournament. Again, it's a really good tournament. That's what the NCAA is.
It's one of your favorites. It's one of your favorites. I didn't take you for such a big basketball fan until this year.
You know, the one thing about basketball is to see athletes that big and strong to do what they do is unbelievable. You know,
they can fly sometimes.
Golly, and it all started for me. You know, being my stature, I didn't play a whole bunch of basketball, but I like playing basketball. But we years and years and years ago, FAU hosted the Heat and the Houston Rockets in like a preseason game there. And I was down on the court, and I was just mesmerized. The physicalness of these guys and the touch they exhibit and the way they can, you know, run up and down the court, dribble and dunk. It's just an amazing, it's an amazing display of athleticism. And then coupled with that, like I hate to use the word passion and exuberance and love that these guys have for each other. I just think it's unbelievable. It reminds me a lot of our team. You know, this is a close-knit group of guys that care about each other and really pull for each other, genuinely pull for each other. It's a joy being around them, and that's why I like it.
And that was what I was going to ask you next. How do you kind of draw comparisons, you know, what Mike Krzyzewski does in a team that's expected to win every time? I feel like that's almost harder to coach than a team that's the underdog, to keep your team at that high level.
Yeah, don't take people for granted. And you see that happen a lot. A team ascends to a certain thing, and then they lose some games because they're taking people for granted. But you know, I think it goes back to recruiting. I think it goes back to you got to get those guys that not only are talented and can play at this level, but also understand what this is all about. You know, understand that, you know, you have to come every day. You have to come and you have to wake up every morning, compete in the classroom. You have to wake up and on Saturdays and Sundays and compete every inning of every game. You know, you can't take any time off. There's not, and I think teams that have those guys that understand it can stay at that high level.
Coach,
it's again, you want to stay away from the, you know, ups and downs.
Let's talk about tonight's game. What are some of the keys that you think FAU needs to do to get a victory at home here against Miami? The Owls haven't won here in Boca Raton against Hurricanes since 2001. What do they need to do to get a win tonight?
Well, of course you need a good start from Taylor, and we need to be able to capitalize on more on opportunities. In the game down there, we're up 3-1, and we weren't able to capitalize on a bases-loaded situation. And you know, on Friday night, we were the exact opposite. You know, we had huge 2-out hits, and we were able to capitalize on it. And you know, we got to get to the point where 3-1, we got to get it to 6-1, where they're chasing us. You know, they're chasing us. We're not chasing them. You know, they're chasing us. So, you know, I think we need a good start from Taylor. Of course, we got to play good defense, and then offensively, when we get the opportunities, we got to drive the guys in.
Looking past this week, it'll be a weekend series in New Orleans for the Owls, and obviously it's always tough when you go on the road in the Sun Belt Conference. Talk about some of the keys to getting back on track this weekend against the Privateers in conference play.
Well, like you said, it's always tough. This week, it's a little bit easier because the travel plans are nicer.
A little bit easier to get to New Orleans than it is Lafayette, right?
Yes, yeah. We don't have to be on the bus, I'll tell you, until 7.
Oh, okay. So I get a couple extra hours of sleep tomorrow night. Okay, very nice, very nice.
And we have a direct flight, so we'll be in New Orleans at like 11:30.
Wow.
So we'll sit down.
Get some extra sleep time, a little lunch.
A little lunch, nap, and then we'll go to practice.
Very nice.
But we just have to keep doing what we're doing, you know, and that's the thing that I caution these guys is don't try to do more and don't do less. Just keep doing what we're doing. We're pitching really well. You know, offensively, we've done what we needed to do to win games. We got to get back to that. We got to get that extra hit. We got to get that extra sacrifice fly. But we're going to be fine. This team's fine. I don't worry about something what happened on Sunday against Middle Tennessee affecting this team going forward. They have a good ability to understand that we have to be better, but yet it doesn't linger and they get worried about it.
All right, the Owls will start the week off with 2 games against Miami, 1 here in Boca Raton, 1 down at Coral Gables, and then 3 games over the weekend against the New Orleans Privateers as the FAU team continues Sun Belt Conference play. That's going to do it here for the FAU Baseball Insider. As always, my guest, John McCormack. I'm your host, Jared Smith. We'll see you at the ballpark.
Take care.